You need to take it for the team. You see stuff that happens in the NHL, a guy gets popped in the nose, and he skates away, and you're like, well, I don't know, why isn't he hitting him? Because he's doing what the team needs him to do. It stinks. Your first reaction is to rip the guy's throat out. Every one of us want to do that, but we don't do it. You know what I mean? We don't do it because we know it's best for the team. When the trade deadline comes in the NHL and you see all these names of guys getting traded, you're like, why isn't there somebody trading for the 100-point guy? Because those guys that turn the other cheek, that play tough defense, that come back and pick up the pucks, that listen to when the coach asks them to go do something, those are the guys that are picking up at the trade deadline. Those are the guys that play in the third and fourth line and blocking shots, going out there and playing big minutes in the playoffs and winning games. It's those guys.
So just now, you played for the Red Wings, played the fourth line all year, probably going to play in the first line next year.
Yes, you earn the coach's respect. You guys have to start from today doing those kind of things. You may think nobody notices the kid coming back to pick up the pucks, but I can speak for these guys because I know the knuckleheads, and I know that we all respect those kids. We talk amongst ourselves just from this yesterday with you guys. Who is the kid doing the extra push-ups? Who is the kid doing the extra work? Who is the kid saying, I'm done, but I'm going to give a little bit more? What? You said your shoulder was killing you. You just kept bumping. You just kept banging. You just kept banging. Okay? Another example of leadership qualities and non-leadership qualities. It's the same kid that says, Coach, I forgot my cup. How many times have you heard that, man?
Many.
Coach, oh, my freaking water bottle. I know I had it, but I don't know where it is. My jerseys, I must have left them hanging somewhere. It's the same kids. Isn't it the same kids? It's the same kids all the time, right? I mean, is it different kids or is it the same kids? So you find
Same kids.
Oh, those are kids you're saying, man, we just did this drill 3 times and you're still screwing it up. Same kids. It's the same kids when you need somebody to do a defensive play, make a block, cover his man, just for that, to stop that one big goal against. It's that kid, right? It's always the same kid. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. You don't want to be that kid. It's the same kid that every time you're on the ice for 5 minutes already running through drills, you hear the door open up. And guess who's skating out? Same kid. Same kid. It's always the same kid. It's, you know, it may be 1 or 2 kids in your team, but it's always one of those 2. And when someone else does that, as a leader, it's an accident. We know as coaches. We give that kid a break. We're like, dude, you got credibility built up with me in the bank. You're good. Don't worry about it. I'll let you slide that time. Okay? The ones that are the caps, assistant captains, they're dressed early. They're ready to go. They're the first ones in line. You tell them the drill to do, they do it right away. You tell them how to do it, and they don't deviate from that. You start now at this age. You can't change yourself later on in life. Hardest working kid on his team. Hardest working goalie on the team. Hardest working defenseman on the team. And we're still doing it. We're leaders in life. 9/11 happens in New York, buildings fall. I'm running towards the buildings. He's running towards the buildings. If he was there, he would have ran towards the buildings to help out. That's the type of guys that we want to go to war with. Those are the kind of guys that we want next to us in the locker room. We're getting ready for the big game. We're looking around. And we're like, coach is talking. You got that one kid. You hear straps. You hear him taping. He's the one that you're waiting for. That's not the one running to the buildings with you. That's not the one you want to run to the buildings with. I know it sounds like a real serious analogy and all that, but it's true. You guys are going to be men one day. You're going to have hair in places you never dreamed a person should have it. And you're all going to have it. We're all going to be big men. Now, trust me when I tell you, but when you're a big man, you want to feel that way. You want to be able to make decisions for your family and for the people around you. You want to be coaches. You want to be leaders. You know what I'm saying? You want to be leaders. It's fun to be the leader. It's fun to be in charge. When I go out with my group of 16 to go wrestle bad guys, it's fun. I'm like that dude on the 18 with the cigar. Let's go, boys. Let's go get them. And we're jumping on and wrestling, putting cuffs on them, lassoing them up, and throwing them in jail. It's fun. It's fun to be in charge. Now, for some of you guys, it's not going to be in your personality. It doesn't mean that you can't be the hard worker. It doesn't mean that, you know, my son Logan, I can speak to him. I hope I don't embarrass him, but he's a quiet one. He just works hard, something like we talked about. He's not a rah-rah guy. He's getting there, but he's a quiet leader, and he works very, very hard. You know what I mean? He works hard, and so people want to work hard with him. There's different kinds of leaders. You may see a guy, third line guy, wearing an A or a C, and you're like, the dude scores 25 points a year, and he's a captain, assistant captain. It has nothing to do with the points. Then there's a guy like Mario or Steve Eichmann that happen to be great players who work very, very hard. They're true leaders with great skill. That's a great thing to have. Those are the teams that win. The Joe Sackitt's, the Eisermans, the Jonathan Tays, Gretzky, they're Messier. They're captains who are the hardest workers on their team, and they're the most skilled guys. When you get something like that, it's unbelievable. But not everybody has that skill. None of us in this room, for the most part, have that skill. You might develop it a little bit later on, but you don't have it right now. You don't. You don't know. But to have the best player in your team be the hardest worker, that's something that most teams dream of. When you see a team with a third-line guy with a C, they're probably a mid-level team. They're probably a team struggling. But he's the best and hardest worker. He's the hardest working guy on the team, so he's got it. So a lot of these really good players, I'll give you an example of a guy that I think is a really good player. Doesn't show a whole lot of leadership. My personal opinion is Joe Ford. Or even, you guys may get mad at me, I think Alexander Ovechkin. He wears the C, super talented, but I think he's a little selfish. He has no championships. The Russian team doesn't win, the Caps always lose somehow in the playoffs. And a guy like Crosby, who I think cries a lot, I think he's a very good leader. I think he makes the players around him better. He makes them better. That's a true leader. When you can take a freaking 20-year-old guy and make him a 40-year-old guy, like Crosby does, that's something else. Backstrom's super talented on Ovechkin's line, and he's had a horrible year last year. He's always up and down, because Ovechkin's all about himself, in my personal opinion. Doesn't mean he's not a great player, individual player. I'm talking about a leader. That's one of the biggest problems with the Capitals. We lived in Virginia for years. I watched him as a rookie for his first maybe 5 years before we moved to Charlotte, and I have a real issue with that, with his leadership skills. And I think that's why they lose in the playoffs. Now, the whole point of me telling you all this stuff, guys, is for you to start looking at the person, the boy, and the future man in the mirror. That's all. Just look yourself in the mirror before you start to say, as a goalie, like yesterday, our goalie, Ian, early on, he says to me something about, hey, that guy didn't cover his man and he scored. It's not your job to complain about the other guys. Your job is to stop the puck and think about what you could have done to change the outcome. When you start pointing fingers and say, I could have scored if he passed the puck, or we could have done this if this person didn't play bad. When you start doing that, all you're doing is hurting your team, ruining your reputation, and changing the opinion the coach has of you.
Well, like, what if you just talk to him, like, next time can you pass it? Is that bad?
No, it's not bad at all. It's not bad. Best for me, and I don't. It's only my personal thing again. I'd rather you mention it to the coaches or assistant coaches, your frustration. They can give you a good answer as to maybe he shouldn't have passed you there, maybe he was right to do that, or yeah, you know what, I'll talk to him for you. It's tough sometimes from peer to peer. It's tough for a kid to hear from another kid, pass the puck. You'd be like, hey, jackass, you play, don't worry about me. When your coach tells you, it's better. So it might be better that way. But yeah, if you're a leader, an assistant captain or captain of that team, and you feel like you can give that letter so you can have a voice, then you use your voice. You know what I'm saying? You can't keep harping on it, but you can say it maybe once to him in passing, and maybe that works. You know what I mean? Maybe that works.
There's one kid on my team, and he would always like whenever I was around him, he would always talk bad about a couple of the kids on my team, and no one really liked him, and he thought he was all that. But every game, he always messed up, and he always got the penalty, and he wasn't the best. He was really selfish and stuff.
Did you hear what you said? He's the kid that did all the things you talked about not being a leader. You said everybody hated him. Hate's a strong word. I'm sure your teammates didn't like it. The strong teams, the winning teams. At the end of the day, what do you want to achieve as a player? You want to be on a winning team, right? You want to win. Everybody wants to win. You know, and if you're going to lose, you might as well be a 50-goal scorer. But if you're a 50-goal scorer because you're only worried about yourself, you'll be on the losing team. I guarantee it. But at the end of the day, you want to win, and that's what a leader sounds like. What I told you before. He's humble. The guy that says, "I'm the guy, I'm the man, that's the guy that's going to win all the freaking time, all the time." Right? A couple of words, and then I'll let you take over. You guys, as you're going forward, let's move aside from the leadership. Let's talk about mental preparation for hockey. Adversity. Anybody know what that means? Hands only. Anyone know what adversity means? Can you explain it? Big man right there. Yes, but it's tough. Maybe you're going through a little streak, 5 games and no goals, and you're feeling like you're squealing a stick, like, man. Or you're coming back from an injury. Oh man, I got hurt. I'm coming back. I'm behind the 8 ball. Everybody else kind of had 10, 15 practices since I've been hurt. I don't feel good. You go to locker room, they're talking about stuff that happened. You weren't there. because you were out, and you're like, oh, man, you're feeling bad about yourself, you're not feeling very good. That's adversity. It says a lot about yourself to the coaches. When you go through that, you come out of it working hard. You come out of it and you push yourself, will your way through it. That means a lot to a coach. When he sees you struggling and then you come out the other side working hard and get to where you want to go. That's huge for a coach. That's one big word that you guys can think about going forward. Another one is attitude. Anybody know how to describe attitude to me? What an attitude is? What a definition of attitude? Anybody?
Like pretty much like how you feel.
Right.
How can I speak to other people?
Okay. Piece of it. Right. You express yourself based on what's going on around you. I can see this and walk in, and my attitude be considered. I walk in, look at all these dorks sitting here, and I walk out. Is that bad attitude?
Yeah.
What if I walk in here and say, oh, a bunch of cool kids, I want to meet them, get to know them. Walk in, hey, my name's so-and-so, how you doing? What kind of attitude is that? Same exact situation, two different attitudes. You have a guy on this team that, oh, my skates are killing me, I can't play. Or, oh, you know what, it's so loud this locker room, it messed me up, I couldn't play right. You're blaming the whole world for your problems. You're waiting for the world to fix your problems. You're waiting. Everything around you makes it so you can't do what you're supposed to do. That's a bad attitude. If you find yourself blaming your teammates, your coaches, the ice time, all that stuff, that's a bad attitude. You're going to drag yourself and the rest of your teammates down. Have a good attitude when you're in that locker room with your teammates. Be positive. You're only going to be as good as the worst kid on your team, right? The least experienced kid, if your first line scores all the goals and your second line gives up all the goals, will you have a good team? Right? That's what I'm trying to say, is if you're only strong as your worst player, if you're killing the kid on your team, man, you're killing us, you're stinking. And every time you're out there, you're tripping them and you're goofing on them and you're all making fun and give him a stupid nickname. How do you think he's going to play for you guys when the time comes? When you need him the most, how do you think he's going to play for you guys, for the team? How do you think he feels about giving his all to block a shot for you if you're going to goof on him and call him, hey, midget, do something out there. Hey, dude, you couldn't hit the water from a rowboat. You stink. How do you think he's going to feel about himself when you guys are saying that to him?
Probably try to play purposely and straighten his shot.
He's not going to care much for you guys. He doesn't care whether or not he wins with you guys. He's not going to care at all. Right? Anyway, food for thought. We're coaches. We're guys that look for those things, those little things. Not about picking a corner all the time. That helps. You can play. I mean, I like that too. But as a person, look yourself in the mirror first before you start judging your teammates. If you did everything you could do to help your team win, did everything you could do to help your teammates feel better about themselves and play to their fullest, then maybe you can say something about somebody else. So you get to that point in your life, don't just talk, live it. Unless it's a positive thing like, dude, nice play. That's different than, dude, you suck. Alright?